Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Deborah DeBoer with the North Shore-Barrington Association of Realtors. We're doing our Friday Fuel today, and today I am delighted to have a guest who I have known for, we were counting this up last night at our party last night because I met someone else who had been in one of my first training classes. It's almost 25 years.
Yeah, it'll be
Almost
25 years October.
Oh my God. Jackie Koukol is one of my realtors that I met when she was a brand new baby realtor. She was in one of the first training classes that I taught at Baird & Warner when I was director of training there at Baird & Warner. So I was delighted to bring her back because one of the first questions that I'm going to ask her today is, I almost forget what I told you to do when you were a brand new realtor. What did you do when you were a brand new realtor to start your business?
So when I was a brand new realtor, I had littles, 2 and 4. I didn't even have childcare. I'm like, what am I doing? And we had to come downtown.
I remember. And you had to be on time, too.
Yeah, and I was always late. And still am. And I just devoured everything you said. And I remember one of the things that Deborah said was that you have a motto for your life, a mission statement for your life. And it was, be kind, be brave. It gets me choked up every time I think of it. Be kind, be brave, something else.
Be grateful.
Be grateful, and have fun every day.
That's right.
And I was always, because I was coming from stay-home mom background to jumping into this, even though I had other experience, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't tell anybody I'm a realtor because yesterday I was a stay-home mom and today I'm a realtor. So what am I going to do? So I thought I have to start having fun at this and I have to start being brave and not being afraid. And so what you talked to us about the crisscross directory.
Oh my God.
I know, this is a long time ago. I feel so sorry for realtors today because there is no such animal. And I don't know how you can, because I didn't want to tell people that I knew that I was a realtor, I used the crisscross. And the crisscross was you take the, the 847-918, which was my area, and you just go through and you call people. And you can see I'm all about jewelry, so I had a picture of a ring, and I meant to wear it today, darn it, that I put, and I was like, I'm going to just, for the time that my kids are in daycare, I'm going to call all these 918 numbers and just be like, hi, I'm Jackie Koukol with Baird & Warner, and do you want to sell your house? Click. And then they would be mean to me, and I would want to cry. But then I made it a game because I have fun every day. So I would be like, how long can I keep them on the phone? And how long before somebody yells at me, or is mean to me? So I would make little hashtags. And so then I would get people on the phone and some of them would be chatty and I'd be like, okay. So then what I would do is I would send them a note with my card and I'd say, thanks for chatting with me. Whenever you need a realtor or if you know of somebody who needs a realtor, send them my way. Here's my card. And I put 2 cards in there, share one with a friend, kind of a thing. And then I started getting calls. And at that time I had a broker manager who, she did Popeyes before before we knew who Brian Buffini was, I should say. And it was November of 98. And she says, I think what we're going to do the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is we're going to get bouquets and we're going to just go into our farms, because we all had farms then. I don't know if people have farms now. I still have a farm. But we'll just randomly pick a house and say, Happy Thanksgiving. Here's a Thanksgiving bouquet. If you know of anybody who wants to sell their house, let me know. So I rang a doorbell and a woman was on the phone and she says, hi, can I help you? And I go, and all of the realtors, this is when we used to caravan, they were all standing behind me and I'm, hit it. So I said, hi, I'm Jackie Koukol. I'm with Baird & Warner. I just wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and give you this. I hope you enjoy it. And if you know of anybody who needs a realtor, I'm your neighborhood realtor. So call me. And she's on the phone. She's like, hang on a minute. She goes, well, I'm not moving, but if I ever do, I'll call you. 6 months later, she called me.
Son of a gun.
So it works. And I did, figure out her name. I sent her a note, all the things. And then she called me, and it started from there. Then she referred me, and she referred me, and she referred me. And then that's when they had Brian Buffini come, like a year later. And he talked about referrals. And, you know, his, at that time, was very expensive. And I was a brand new realtor. So I was like, well, I can't do this coaching thing. But what I can do is one thing that, you know, he suggested. Get a list of 100 people, family, friends, past clients, and mail something of value to them every single month, and then follow up with a pop-by. And so I happen to be the pop-by queen, and because I have a brain that works kind of cuckoo, I come up with like all kinds of silly things. Valentine's Day was the heart-shaped boxes of candy, and I'd wrap them really cute with a tag that says real referrals are the heartbeat of my business. You know, hand you this. One time it was Father's Day, and I made it for the guys, and it was barbecue sauce from your hot and spicy realtor, which probably doesn't work anymore, but 25 years ago it was okay. And so I just did that, and I got referrals, and then I joined his coaching program, and I was a Buffiniite, and still am. I think he's brilliant. So if you have a chance to listen to his podcast, he has great speakers, and, you know, whatever comes out of his lips is kind of golden. He's been doing it for a long time, and it works. It's not like he's been doing it and it doesn't work, and he's just trying to get your money. So there you go, Brian, if you're listening. So I did that, and then it became, you know, 2005 and 2008. I also had a store at that time.
I remember.
Mm-hmm. So for 3 years, I had a store in downtown Libertyville, and I was simultaneously doing real estate and the store, and with little kids. Can't ride 2 horses with 1 ass.
Okay.
So that's the lesson of that. And so then, you know, I figured out I had to do it differently. Coming back, you know, not that I was ever gone, but coming back into the game where it was hard, really hard. And that was when I got on the team.
Okay.
And that, you know, the team was great because at that point my back was against the wall and I needed to make things happen. And it did. And that's all of my background from the crisscross directory and following up and the Buffini. You know, I got leads handed to me, and I had to work them. So that was the hard part because, you know, I would joke and I would say, hey, I got an internet date, because it was mostly cold leads. And you cultivate them the way that you do the people that you know and love and know you and trust you and like you. And eventually they refer you and so on and so on and so on. And then a year ago, I got recruited by Coldwell Banker, and I thought if I ever leave the team that I was on, I will be retired. And I'm not saying anything against teams, and I had a lovely 11 years on that team, but when somebody can show you your value differently, it just makes sense. So I left the team on good terms, and everything's great, but it's been incredible to be my own, to actually see your own number and in the MLS, like I actually sold this, not have it go under somebody else again. I mean, that's how it was when I was with Baird & Warner. It was under my name.
Right.
And that sounds so ego-y, and I don't mean it to be ego-y. It's just, it does take your value up to a different level. Does that make sense? Or
being back on your own again, leaving a team, was it scary?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I mean, like at one point my manager called me and she says, how are you doing? And I said, I think I'm out of business. And she goes, what do you mean? She goes, you know, then she listed off what I had done. And I go, I know, but you have to remember, I was used to, like, it was nonstop when I was on the team. I mean, nonstop. I worked all the time, that was my life. I had there was rarely downtime. So when you're working smarter, not harder, that's what she pointed out to me. You're working smarter, not harder. And I was like, yeah, but it feels like I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing enough. And that's the thing that we have to remember. We are enough, and what we do is enough. And if we're adding value to our clients, it's enough. It is enough.
So what are you doing now with your clients? So there's the switch. So you went from having all of your leads generated to starting all over again. Mm-hmm. And you're starting all over again.
I have my clients and past clients; those are mine.
Okay.
And so I have been doing all the things that you do that we did in the old days: mailing, calling, Popeyes, touch base. In the real estate business or any sales business, you have to prospect. It's not going to come to you. You have to figure out a way, whatever works for you. For me, that's calling and touching base and saying, hi, I haven't talked to you in a long time. Deborah, just wanted to remind you that I'm in real estate. I've changed companies, all the things. So what's new with you? And then they talk and we chat a little bit, try to be on the phone for a short period of time. Sometimes it's longer. And then just,
Is it the phone or is it email?
I'm a phone girl.
Okay.
This is a belly-to-belly business. And if you are not, everybody knows, I don't know, maybe this was from your podcasts. Every single person you know out there knows 12 realtors. So you have to be the realtor that is remembered and that they will call. And you have to build the relationship so that they know you, like you, and trust you. And I think what I feel like I was put on this planet for was, and I get so emotional. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry.
But I was put here to help people. And if you're coming from a place of help and not, Deborah, I want to sell your house because I need money, it's a different feel, and people will get that vibe from you. And you have to want to serve people. And if you don't want to do that, then you need to be in a different business. And if you don't want to prospect every single day, you need to do something else, because that is your bread and butter. The rest of it will come if you are prospecting and have things in your pipeline.
The interesting thing that I've heard over and over and over again in these podcasts is this. And one of the men who came in here, and I said, so what are you, and he was doing a lot of coaching. And I said, well, what are you telling your people to do differently than you've done? 18 months ago, business was falling into people's laps. What are you telling them different now? And he said, I'm telling them to work harder. And he said, and I'm telling them to work more. I said, how's that working for you? He said, not as good as some would, not as great as you want. He said, but that's really the trick of it right now. You need to work harder, and you need to work more than you did when business was just falling into your lap.
Yes, but I think it's a different type of harder. It's, for me, it's the same process, and that can be redundant and boring, and some days I don't want to do it. Some days I don't want to make a call. But the advice that I got from my team, owner of the team, when I would go in and I would say, I don't have anything to do. He'd say, make another call, and I'd want to stick a knife in him. And truly, that is what you do. And once you make one call, then it leads to another and another and another. And yes, in this world that we are in that is digital and nobody answers their phone, I sometimes feel like the message leaving queen, but if you can be happy and excited about what you're doing, and sometimes you have to, put that mirror next to your phone so that you can look at yourself and smile so that you aren't like, oh my God, it's Jackie Koukol and I need to sell a house again.
Yes.
Not like that. You have to be upbeat. You have to jumping jacks or whatever it is that gets you, but it's all the same thing. And is it harder? Yeah, because we live in a world where it's digital, and again, nobody answers their phone. But the process is the same to get to the end, in my opinion. And to tell somebody to work harder, well, you have to give them a game plan of how to do that. So if you used to make only 5 calls a day and it was dropping in your lap, you might need to make 15.
I think that's what he's talking about.
So, and I think that's where people don't adjust. The other thing is, I was speaking to a couple of realtors that I know who are new in the business, and they're like, well, I want to go to a place where they're going to give me leads. Okay, well, let's think about this. That's not going to happen. If you are a newbie in your office and they have 50 agents, and let's just say they get 5 new leads a month, how many is that in a year? I mean, it just doesn't calculate. You can't want somebody to do it for you. You have to have so much fire in your belly to do this that no matter how many times people hang up on you, or no matter how many times people don't listen to your message or call you back from your message, that you just keep doing it. And when I joined the team, I got an email that said, we're looking for aggressive realtors to join the team. And I was like, throw that in the trash, because I am not aggressive. So I pull it back out of the trash, call the number, and I said, hello, I'm so-and-so, and I saw your email. I would just like to know if you could call me back and give me your meaning of aggressive. What is your definition? Because I am not aggressive. Thank you very much. Call me back. Click. And what you have to be is assertive, and your word, persistent. And you can't be you can't be afraid to hear no. You cannot be afraid to have somebody go on a listing presentation and do all the right things, say all the right things, and then have them list with somebody else and then cry. I mean, because there was a lot of crying 25 years ago. Now I don't cry. Now I just go, well, whatever. See how that works without me. Oops. I'm kidding.
I had this conversation yesterday at the barbecue, because I ran into Marlene Rubenstein, who also...
Oh, yeah.
I did. And I had her in my class as well. And I said, I was talking about people being fearless. She said, I don't even actually think it's fearless. Although I do think there's something about being fearless, because Marlene was fearless.
Yeah, actually the first time, and this sounds really braggy, but the first time that we got an award, she and I sat near each other.
Well, and Marlene was in one of the first things. And I remember when Marlene, Baird & Warner used to have, I think it was on the 23rd floor of a building downtown, and the training room was a big training room there, and then Steve Baird's office was on one of the corridors that ran off there. And all of us, the staff people, we were all so impressed with Marlene, because Marlene would leave the training room and she'd trot on over and she'd park herself in Steve Baird's office. And all of us would sort of like go,
wow.
That's
okay,
what we would
I didn't do that.
We would like go, well, she just strolled right into Steve Baird's office and tell him what she thought about this, that, and the other thing. And we were all going like, huh.
Wow.
Well, look at that. And she said, no, I don't think it was fearlessness. She said, I think it was just the confidence. She said, I had the confidence to go in and just talk to him and all that. And I thought, well, I was not that confident, and I worked for him to go in and just park myself in the audience in his office.
That's so funny, because it is confidence. You have to build that up. But when you don't have it, so this is what I used to do when I was a baby realtor. So in our office at the time, her name was Joyce, and Joyce was the #1 agent, and she's older than me, but not much. But at that point, I was like, oh, she's way older than me, but she really wasn't. She really isn't. And so I would go on a listing presentation, and well, first I would be in my car on the way there, and I would pray that they would like me.
You do what you can.
Yeah, that's my thing. I want everybody to like me. But then I'd walk up to the door and I'd ring the doorbell or knock on the door, and I'd be like, I'm Joyce Fries. Everybody wants to list with me. And I would pretend I was Joyce. And then I would be like, okay, how would Joyce stand? I always thought of Oprah when she was trying to be Oprah, she would watch Barbara Walters, and Barbara went like this or like this. So I'd be like, okay, Joyce would be like, hi, I'm Joyce. So I'd be like, hi, I'm Joyce. I don't know. Maybe she wasn't like that. Maybe she was like, hey, let me in and let me show you my shiz. I don't know. But like, that's how I felt that she was. So that's how I was. And I remember one of my first listing presentations, the man said to me, so how many listings do you have? And that was like a big 0. And I was like, well, our office has blah, 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 blah. That was from Deborah. Our office has 25 listings, and 6 of them are in your neighborhood or your area. And he's like, yeah, but how many are yours? And I said, all right, I'm going to level with you. None. None of them are mine. But would you rather be a big fish in a little pond or a little fish in a big pond? I still didn't get the listing, but I tried. So, I tried all the things and it didn't work. I went home and I cried. My husband says there's no crying in business. So buck up and make another call. So that's what I did. And eventually it all worked out. I mean, I'm here.
Right.
And it's funny, when you called me, I was like, what? I don't have anything to share. I mean,
you do though.
And it is true. Everybody comes from a different place. And yes, there are many more.
You're still here. Do you understand how unusual it is?
Yes, it is. Here? It's, and that's persistence, and it's stick to it and never give up. And so
I have another question for you. Mm-hmm. Are you active in your community?
No, not really. I mean,
you had kids. Were you active in your kids'
I
stuff?
was yes, I was the mom who did everything, the costume lady, the cupcake lady, Did
it make business for you?
Yes. Yes.
So did it add to your Rolodex of all people? Are you still getting referrals and things from
yes. That? Oh, yes. I mean, a lot of my kids' friends' parents are still my friends. And they're still, I'm closing. Actually, it's closing today from one of my neighbors who's besties with my daughter.
Okay.
So yeah, that works. And yes, being active in the community is probably a great place to start if you don't have a way to meet people. But I'm kind of a social butterfly, so I am it's maybe not community, but I do a lot of things, outside of real estate. So I'm always constantly meeting people. I'm in some networking groups for speaking and all of that. But
what kind of networking groups for speaking?
So, yeah. So it's called Engaging Speakers.
Okay.
And that's one of them. And I recently did because I'm a certified self-talk trainer with Dr. Shad Helmstetter, and that's the other thing. You have to really work on your mindset.
Okay.
You have to feed your brain. When I started, before I became a realtor, I actually was a Mary Kay lady.
Okay.
And
did you have a pink car?
I did not.
Okay.
But here's what I learned from Mary Kay. I think this is where my sales training came in, because Mary Kay said you make your 5 list of things to do every day and check those off. The most important things you want to get done in a day, you check those off. So that would be, prospecting, doing paperwork for, listing, presentations, all the things. Check those off. And use your car as your university. Back then, we'd put in a tape and we'd listen as we drive. And it's funny because I remember listening while my kids were in the car. And I remember Julia, then I'm on the phone, and she's at her little baby kitchen, and she goes, okay, 2 creamy cleanser? Because she was listening the same thing I was listening to. Even if you're not listening, it's pouring in there. And if you're an audible learner like I am, that is the best thing to do. So when somebody says, where did you go to university? I said, automobile.
There
I'm
you
like, what? Because not a day goes by that I am not feeding my mind with some podcast or book on Audible. I was going to say tape. And train your mind to see the good and be positive. And if you can do that, then you can keep going. And I think that's...
What are you listening to now?
So, right as I was coming here, I was actually listening to a meditation on how to release anxiety, which didn't really work because I couldn't find my way here because,
It's tricky to be here.
It is tricky.
Yeah.
And my husband says, I don't know how you were a realtor before they had GPS. And I said, well, before they had GPS, I had better eyesight and I could read the directions on the listing sheet and drive the car. Now, not so much.
I was thinking about that. When I started traveling across the country, I often had a piece of paper with directions on, turn by the Walgreens. You know, I'd be in some strange state, and it would be turn by the Walgreens.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I don't know how I got anywhere with that. I was so grateful when I got I called her Mrs. Garman. And I got Mrs. Garman, and I put her on the British, so there was this British woman who would talk to me. I remember being in North Dakota and not seeing a car for like 2.5 hours. And I was so glad Mrs. Garman would talk to me every so often.
Yes, exactly.
So grateful for that. But no, I don't know how I ever got to any of the places.
Seriously, and I can remember, you know, being in the dark and being a new realtor and driving, and, you know, you're trying to find the number. And you're like, oh my God, and the person is following me in the car. And now I'm turning the wrong way, and keep turning around, and they're like, what is wrong with her?
Well, and then the keys too, and then trying to get the doors open. And
and now we have everything on our phone. We need a flashlight, it's there. We need a GPS, it's there. Everything's at our
It's so much easier.
So in that sense, it's easier, but the work is still the same, and it's all doing the same thing.
The paperwork is harder.
Yes.
I think the paperwork's much harder right now.
Yeah, and you have to have a good system for following up with people.
Yes. The transaction is harder right now.
Yes.
Much harder. Much more complicated, and there's far more people with their hands in the deal.
Oh my gosh. And everybody's just, and I had sold a house in Libertyville recently, and he's like, everybody wants my money.
Yes.
You know, at the end of the day. And I'm like, yes, they do. But the good news is, your commissions are deductible on your taxes, but don't play a tax accountant on TV, and I'm not a tax accountant, so ask your professional, one. And two, if you have a escrow, they'll send you some of that money back.
There you go.
So it's not all gone.
Not all gone. All right, any final words for people that you want? This is a career that you've had for 25 years. Have you enjoyed it?
Yes. I don't think I would still be here if I didn't love what I do. And yes, there are days that, you know, if you ask my husband, he would be like, do you really like what you do? Because, you know, after a long day and after being in multiple offers and all those things that's been happening these last few years, it gets frustrating. But again, I love it, and I love my people. I really, really, really do want to help people. And I think when you come from a place of how can I serve, you know, it just makes life easy. And it makes your job easier because people see that you're really there for them, not for a paycheck. And yes, we all want to get paid. I know that sounds really, I don't know, hokey, but the bottom line is the reward for helping people is the paycheck.
Jackie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you being here. The views and opinions expressed by this presenter are theirs. They may not reflect the views of North Shore-Barrington Association of Realtors.